Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Desynced. This is the second of the sponsored mini-series that I'm running. What I haven't covered in the previous video is the combat system. How does that work? Well, it basically works very similar to what I've showed you so far. You have a unit, you equip it, this time around with a combat module such as a turret, and you send it off to do some battle. The problem that you will quickly run into is battery life. These things tend to have a little bit less battery life than you might like. And unless the enemy is operating within your borders, basically within your power grid, they're not going to run out of power. Or rather, so long as you're operating outside of these areas, they're going to run out of power. And especially these guys that I'm running along with, they tend to go down quickly. They take 20 power every second, I think. And as such, they run down very, very quickly. So in order to keep this guy going, I've built something of a battle group. What you see here is a couple of these cubs with medium turrets. That's these four guys. Now, they're being provided power by the other cubs. These guys are unarmed, they only have a wind turbine on their back, and everything is being transmitted by the twin bot. Now, this is not strictly necessary, but it does help. This thing is carrying a small power field. You also have the option of going with an interior module, such as the portable power field. The problem with the portable power field is that it is an interior module that you need to put on every single unit, as opposed to just having one, let's say one flying power pole, which is pretty much what this is. You need to have it on every single unit, so you need to build a whole bunch more of those things. As for the range, let's have a look. I believe the range is only 3. So let's tell this cube to come back and install that power transmitter, that portable power field. We can see exactly what the range is. Yeah, see, it's far less. If I have this guy providing power pole, it's doing a lot better. So this power field extender is a lot better. Now we're going to go off to battle. And I'm just going to take it somewhat carefully because the enemy grows stronger every day. The enemy has a tendency to start fielding better units the later your tech gets. For reference, I'm currently in the advanced section. I have already researched advanced materials and I'm now working on power upgrades because I was running a little low on juice. So I'm going to send the fighting units forward, albeit slowly, and have the power units back them up. Now atop this hill we have a bug hive. So there is a guaranteed spawn of enemies. Let's see how well these guys are going to do. Something that you also want to keep sure of is that these guys tend to run through power very, very quickly the moment that they start shooting. So either you need to be flying around with a really big battery, or you need to make sure that you have something providing power to them. Now that was a couple of, I think, like tier 2 enemies. But I have taken some damage, and some of these cubs aren't exactly healthy. So I'm going to send them back. Over here, I've set up something of an outpost. This thing is a medium turret, or it has a medium turret capable of firing at pretty much the same range as the mobile ones. And it has a healing platform. So the repair component, and it allows for the repair of damaged frames. Now you can see it immediately jumps into action, and it has a pretty decent range. You can also put this on a cub, if you so desire. So I can say, you know what, this guy, we're going to store your power module, and you're going to borrow this for a second, and with that, you'll be able to start fixing up the area, or the bots in the same region, just as your friends. So you can also have a permanent mobile healing companion. And with that, you gotta make sure that everybody who's taking damage gets healed. But it uses power. Of course it does, because everything uses power, and as it does, you, again, are going to have to try and field more power-generating units. It kind of becomes this sort of self-growing snowball. You start adding more units that take power, so you're going to have to start adding more units that generate power, especially if you're operating farther from home. So for now, I'm just going to put the wind turbine back on, and the beauty of Desynced is that you can do this on the fly. I don't have to store these things anywhere other than aboard the cub that's currently carrying them. So you can have a couple of these power generators that are basically second line units, they're not capable of defending themselves, carrying around these components, such as the repair component, and the moment that you are out of combat, you just swap them out and you heal everybody back up. Now, one thing that you gotta keep note of when you're building these mini battle groups is that some units are faster than others. This twin bot has, I believe, a movement speed of 3, and the others have a movement speed of 2. So pick wisely what units you combine with what, because if your second line units consistently outrun your primary units, then you could be in a little bit of trouble. As your, let's say your secondary units, your power providers, or maybe even your portable shield generators later game, if they tend to outrun your frontline units, well, that's going to be a little bit less than efficient, because you'll be having to rebuild everything all the time. And that's not very good for your sanity. Now, we're going to go ahead. This cub is going to have to move forward a bit to repair the guys that are currently on the front line. And there's already another Malakor coming at us. Whatever that is, it is taking shots at my twin bot, the one with the power pole. You got to be careful with, let's say, single point of failure units, such as, in my case, this twin bot with the power pole. If it falls, then everybody else is going to have a very hard time getting everybody else repaired or getting everybody else shot at, because they won't be sharing energy anymore. These guys are going to be nicely generating energy, and this is the only cub that can still transmit it. The rest of them, well, they're not dead. They're not dead in the water. They will still be able to move, albeit slowly, but they will not be able to shoot. And units, combat units that are out of power, that simply cannot shoot, well, your whole battle group is going to fall. So a single point of failure like this, as I'm playing it, is pretty dangerous. Now, this twin bot does still have some capability for further upgrades. It still has another empty socket small, and it have a couple of interior sockets. So I could also give these guys a bit of firepower themselves in the form of a small turret. And for the interiors, I could give them the repair kit, which is an internal component, and that way it has less chance of dying. You can also turn them into portable shield generators, and they mitigate up to 20 damage with that. Now, considering how quickly this thing started taking damage, I have 99 hit points, and that's out of 200. But this was like 4 or 5 attacks or so. So a 20-point shield generator isn't that interesting to me. Because the chances of my unit actually making it through that, actually surviving, I don't think they're that good. So I'm not particularly interested in spending on a shield generator just yet. Of course, later game, you are probably going to be getting better shield gens. Let's see, over here we're going to be getting a couple of additional buildings. Over here we're going to be getting the transport bot, which has up to 12 storage. It is not very good at combat at all because it only has interior sockets. You also get the Hound with a medium, a small, and 3 interiors. So maybe you can get a small a small energy field, and with that make sure that the units survive longer. And the Hauler has 1 medium and 3 interiors. This keeps going the more that you research. The better tools that you get, the better tech that you get, the more your units will be able to take and survive. And also, the more that you'll be able to start converting every unit to do exactly what you want. Because that is something else that this game does very well. So what did I mean by that? How can you customize your units? Well, you have a couple of different options. In this case, I have, for example, this guy over here. I'm going to need you to stop your behavior right now. This is a twin bot. It's carrying 2 fabricators. Back when I started this guy in service, I had this building with 2 mining lasers. But it was a bit out of the way, because my base is over there, the mining field's over here. So what I did was set up this twin bot with a very, very simple program. It's carrying a couple of fabricators that need metal ore. So I told it to go here. And from there, it's going to get the metal ore. So what this behavior... Let me just pause that before we get crazy from the zapping. What this behavior does is pick up items from the go-to source. And that's going to be the metal ore. That then gets turned into the metal bars by the fabricators. Then it goes to the destination, which is the store block. It is way over there, very close to the rest of my production capability. So this one immediately gets filled up with additional metal beams. Sorry, metal bars. This is one of the many ways that you can program your own units. And it is as simple as drawing your own program. You can add parameters. You can tell units to go equip certain components if they have them. So let's say that we want to have for our combat units a new program. These guys over here. Some of these cubs have an interior programming block, a behavior controller, and with that I can say, you know what? I want you to equip a component if you have it. First, we're going to check what your health is. So we're going to say if your health is full, you don't really need to do anything. If your health is less than full, then what I need you to do is go and equip something along the likes of a healing block, a repair kit. So a unit can have a couple of portable shield generators. If it takes too much damage, it can automatically switch to the repair kit, and with that start healing itself up. That is one of the ways that you can put this programming language to work. Now, I am not very good at this. There are many ways that you can make this work. You can make them extremely complex as well. I mean, you can drag and drop and slide this thing all over the place, just showing you how much space that you have to work with to program all this. And it's not just these items that, or these orders that a unit can take out. You also got movement orders, basically going on the map. You can go west, east, north, south, of course. You can also say, hey, I want you to move to another unit, which could be handy if you have one of those, let's say, repair outposts that I have. You can say, dude, I want you to move to a specific location, such as a building that I'm connected to, a store block, or rather, I can store this guy, or sorry, I can put a medium building with a repair kit onto it as a store block, and that way, the unit, if it's taking too much damage, is going to go over there. Now, this is a bad example because this programming is faulty, but that's just one of the ways that you can go about it. There's also components that you can swap. I want you to mine a specific single resource. I want you to do many different things, and this is pretty much where my my logic stops. A lot of these things, I don't know how to work with them. There is math. I know how to work with some of these to some extent. For example, the compare number, you can say, I want you to figure out what your health is. So we're going to check your health. That health number is going to be turned into a unit. Sorry. Get health as a percentage. Here we go. That gets turned into a unit like this, right? A variable A. If it is equal, I want you to do this. If it is larger than that, I want you to do that. But if it's smaller than that, so if your health is less than, let's say, 100, or if it's, I don't know, if your health is, let's say, in the case of one of those cubs, if it's 150, that means it's not full. The problem is, this is a percentage, by the way. I should not set this to 150, because a unit cannot have 150 health. Let's say if it's less than 80%, then I want you to move to that store block that we just set. Don't use the larger. I want you to move to the store block, which is the one that has the healing item. Make sense so far? The problem is if I just do this, it's probably not going to continue because it's a one-time program. If you then have it consistently do that by looping it, it's going to go, is my health 100%? Or rather, I'm going to check my health. I'm going to write that to A. I'm going to see if that's less or more than 80%. If it is less, I'm going to do this. And this is, again, where I run into trouble, because what if I do if it's larger? Well, I don't need to do anything, right? I just need to stay with my group. I need to potentially scout. That is something that this unit could do. I could tell it to scout. So if it's smaller, you're going to go and heal yourself up. If it is larger, you're just going to continue to scout. And then again, I do want it to have its check its health. So I want you to compare the number. And again, if it is larger than 100% or than 80%, you can go and scout again. If it is smaller, you can go back to your store block and go and get yourself healed. So this is one of the ways that you can make these things programmable. You don't have to do this every single time, thank God. No, you can just save them. So I have a health checker. Right now it is a program that does not work. I tried it several times. I just cannot get it to work. I'm not smart enough for that. But this way you can start getting additional behavior stored for other units to also use. So you don't have to program this on every single unit. That would just be silly. No, you can just do this every... let's say you could do this once. And if you have a program that works, you save it. And you load it up from a different unit. What I really appreciate about this whole programmable system is that it is entirely optional. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can just go and play the whole game without it if you feel like you don't want to mess with the programming. If you do, then I do recommend that you start researching things in the advanced logistics, drone storage and scanner tech. Especially advanced logistics is going to be right up your alley. Because with this you'll be getting a radio receiver and a radio transmitter. And that allows for, as it says, remote transmission of logic to receiver components. So one unit can tell another unit, hey dude, I got some metal coming in. You need to switch your production to product X. Or it can go, hey, I don't got any metal for you right now. I need you to switch to production Y. And that way you might be able to do a whole lot more with a couple of buildings that normally would just be idling. Again, you don't have to go about this gameplay like this. You don't have to. And that's the beauty. If you feel like, hey, I just want to play the game. Just play the game. Use the store button. Let the logistics network do the whole thing for you. That's all you got to do. If you feel like you really want to get deep into it and say, you know what? I'm really going to figure this out. I'm going to build the ultimate program. Or, and this is something that I suspect is coming if it's not going to be here upon the release, early access August 15th, so that's today by the time you're watching this. The Steam Workshop probably is going to have a lot of these behaviors that you can just download, import, and figure out, so that's how he did it. Oh, that's clever, I'm going to copy that. Learn from each other, use it, and get better at creating your own programming. Or don't, if you don't feel like it. As you get deeper into the game, you're going to find something glitching. Unknown what that is. We have discovered a virus, by the looks of it. This is going to give you a couple of different research options. It's going to give you the unlock for the virus research. In order to get that, I need to get a couple of these parts. I'm not sure if the game is going to show me. The chitin armor plating that you get from getting kills. So you're going to have to pick up the bug chitin in order to bring that back to base. And then you'll be able to start researching that. There's strange infection. We don't know what this is. Start researching it. And that's just one of the many tech trees that you have. Because this is one of the separate parts. There's also something that says more virus. There's human intel. So there's potentially a human faction. There's alien tech. I suspect that this might be the crawlers that we keep engaging. And there's blight. Every now and then the blight the blight doesn't attack. There's a blight storm. What exactly the blight is, what it's going to do to your gameplay, what it's going to do to your base, all of that stuff I'll leave for you to figure out. Now I got one more part coming, which is where I'm going to look into the co-op mode and multiplayer, and be sure to look out for that soon. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon for the next part.